Hello learners, 9 years ago when I was preparing for my CCNA, we just ignored studying ISIS as we assumed this as a protocol of the past. Who knew at that time, at least we did not, that ISIS is going to make a roaring comeback leaving all other IGPs behind? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss the same ISIS today. In our lives, nobody can remain absolute winner. The real hero is the one who is capable of making a comeback after all his failures. And ISIS is that real hero for me. Let's get started. In this quick video, I am going to focus on metric in ISIS. We know that ISIS uses SPF to calculate the best path between point A and point B. In ISIS, we don't have different metric for different links. For example, 10 gig and fast Ethernet will have same default metric in ISIS, which is 10 for all the links. So in the given network, if we have two paths, then the shortest path will be the one with the lowest number of links. Speed of the link simply doesn't matter here. In this network, we have red path and green path. You can guess that ISIS will always choose the green path because of the number of links to reach from point A to point B. Due to this behavior, it is very important in ISIS that we configure metric manually over the links. Higher the metric, lower the preference. There are two kinds of metrics in ISIS, narrow metric and wide metric. Let's discuss about them one by one. Narrow metric is traditional ISIS metric. The size of the metric is 6 bits long. So the maximum metric size can be 2 raised to the power 6 or 64, which you can clearly see that it is not very good for the larger network. Here, metric simply loses its relevance for all the prefixes which are crossing 6 or more links. Narrow metric is carried in TLV 128 and all the higher metric configured on the interface will be adjusted to 63, which is the maximum limit of the metric. For example, over an interface, if you configure metric as 100, it would just discard 100 and take the maximum value as 63. It cannot go beyond that. Narrow metric definitely sets a limit to ISIS capabilities. Let's see how to configure it. In order to configure ISIS narrow metric, I need to go under ISIS process, and the command to configure it is metric style narrow. As soon as I configure metric style narrow, I see a warning which says that ISIS metric 100 is configured under loopback 1 and it is going to be capped at 63. You can see the loopback 1 configuration, it has ISIS metric 100 configured. This is the problem with ISIS narrow metric. Wide metric. In case of wide metric, the size of the metric field is increased to 32 bits in TLV 135 and 24 bits in TLV 22 in comparison to 6 bits in narrow metric. TLV 22 is an extension to TLV 2 and TLV 135 is an extension to TLV 128 and TLV 130, which we have seen in the previous slide. This is not the only enhancement. With wide metric, you also get around 250 bytes of SubTLVs. Now, if you are wondering what SubTLV is, this is additional field that resides under the TLV to carry additional info. And RFC says that SubTLVs are similar to TLVs, just that TLV reside under the packet and SubTLV reside under the TLV itself. With all this TLVs and SubTLVs, just imagine the whole new world of opportunity opened for ISIS. And not to mention, ISIS has already taken a full advantage of this enhancement to make a heroic comeback in IGP world. The relevancy of ISIS protocol is increased like anything. It has become relevant for DC technologies like OTP, Fabric Path, Cisco ACI Fabric, and many more. It has also become relevant in SP domain with MPLS-TE, and of course, as IGP, it is highly relevant everywhere. Here to note that for all these data center and SP technologies, we also need to add few more TLVs. TLV 22 and TLV 135 are not enough. For example, in MPLS-TE, we have TLV 134, which carries MPLS traffic engineering router ID, also introduced in same RFC, which is RFC 5305, where the TLV22 and TLV135 and some more sub TLVs were introduced. Let's see how to configure wide metric. In order to configure metric, you need to go under router ISIS process, and the command to configure metric is metric style wide. Once we configure this wide metric on the router, you can go to any of the interface on the router and try to configure the metric which is higher than 64. And you can see that here I have done it for loopback 1 and it has not thrown any warning to me. Now you might have developed an interest to learn more about TLVs and sub-TLVs. You can go to Google and type ISIS TLV code point. This website has list of TLVs supported in ISIS and also the RFCs related to it. For example, if you want to know more about TLV 135, you can just go to the RFC 5305. Here, not only about TLV 135, but you will also find information about other sub TLVs which are supported under ISIS. If you found the video interesting, please like it and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.